All right, before we move on in Chapter 5, we're going to take a look back at factoring from Algebra 1. So we're going to spend today reviewing. This is if we just have our x squared plus bx plus c. So there's no a value in front of the x squared here. So this works when we're doing that. So you're going to go through and ask yourself, what can you multiply together to get 24? So we could do 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 times 6. Those all equal 24. Then you go through and look for what can add together to be 10. So that would be your 4 and 6. So then rewrite it as two sets of parentheses. H starts it out, our variable, and then we have a positive 4 and we have a positive 6. So what can you multiply together to get the C value? That also adds together to the B value. Now this one is very similar, except for we have a negative sign in front of the B. So again, we're looking at what multiplies together to get 24. So we're going to do 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 times 6. Now, in order to add together to be a negative, at least one of them have to be negative. But in order to multiply together to be a positive, they both have to be negative. So we're going to go through and make them both negative because we want them to multiply together to be a positive, but add together to be a negative. Now, which ones give me negative 10 when I add them together? Well, that would be that 4 and 6 again. So again, the two sets of parentheses, and then we have minus 4 and minus 6 for our factoring here. Now, if you wanted to check your work, you could use FOIL to go backwards to see if you end up with the trinomial here. All right, now what happens when we have an A value, a number out front? Well, that's where we have to make this chart. A value is going to go here. Our C value goes in the middle, and then our outside plus inside is going to give us our B value of negative 7. So factors of 6, I'm going to pick 2 and 3. And then factors of negative 3, I'm going to do 1 and 3, but I'm going to make the 3 negative. So outside, the two outside terms, we're going to multiply together. So I have negative 3 times 2, which would be a negative 6. And then my inside terms, I'm going to multiply together, and that would give me a 3. And I'm going to add those together, and I would end up with a negative 3. So that is not my answer. I am going to try a different combination here. I'm just going to flip the 2 and the 3 here, but I'm going to keep everything else the same. So now I'm going to do the outside. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And my inside, 2 times 1 is 2. If I add those together, I get negative 7. So that's what I was looking for. So now to write my answer, I still have the two sets of parentheses. But this first column here, the 3 and the 2, those are going to be the coefficients for my x. And then these numbers are going to be my constants, and we have to keep them in the same order here. So this was a minus 3. So the first number is in the first set of parentheses, the second number goes in the second set. So order does matter on these ones. So it's a game of guess and check what works to make everything outright. So remember, the A value goes first, then your C value, and then your B value in your chart. One more here. This one has a coefficient out front of the G squared, but I wanted to show you one of these. Looking at these three numbers, they're all divisible by 6. So I'm going to divide everything by 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, so that just leaves us with the G squared. 36 divided by 6 is going to be 6, so it leaves me with 6G. And then that minus 42 divided by 6 would be minus 7. So now, when I write my answer, I'm going to have a 6 out front of my two sets of parentheses. So, and G is always first there, our variable. So now, just looking at what's inside the parentheses here, we can do what times what is -7. That adds together to be 6 because we don't have that coefficient, that a there in front of the g squared. So what can we multiply together to be -7? Well, we can do 1 and -7, or we can do -1 and +7. We're looking for a set that's going to equal 6 when we add it together. So I'm going to go with this set, -1 and +7. So we're going to put -1 and +7 in our parentheses, and that is our final answer.